Aloha and welcome to HHAPI's health webinar focusing on Native Hawaiian health and Pacific Islander health. We're so grateful for Dr. Sells and Dr. Ao and Dr. Fuiamaono for their time and for them sharing their mana'o and their wisdom with us tonight. I wanted to briefly introduce the HHAPI team. And if you could maybe just give a little wave, hopefully our participants or our guests tonight can see our HHAPI team. Okay, so we have Dr. Kaimi Sinclair, who is the principal investigator of the HHAPI program. Next, we have Sukneet Tor, which is our research assistant. Nicole Ellison is our research coordinator. I am Marla Alohilani Barhum, and I am a peer educator and also work with social media. And last but not least, we also have Selena Garza here, and she is a peer educator. And last but not least, we have Lei Kaula. She is our social media lead and also cultural liaison. So we would like to welcome all of you to our webinar today, or this evening, and I'd like to pass it over to Lei at this time as she will be moderating the webinar tonight. Mahalo for joining us.
Mahalo. Aloha mai kākou e ka lehulehu e nā poe o kia pō o wau no o le aloha ka ula no Hawaii mai au mahalo no kia konana mai I kia kākou ke wala au mahalo I ko kākou o la kino. Again, aloha mai kākou. My name is Lei Kaula. I am a member of HHAPI as well as Ka'ahala Hui o le Kona Hawaiian Civic Club of Oregon and Southwest Washington. And I'm very honored to be in this space with all of you folks. Before we start, we just wanted to do some grounding, just kind of put us into this space as Indigenous people and just kind of bring us into perspective. We are very, very much advocates for the work that we do as Indigenous people, but I wanted to take this time for each and every one of us to also honor the Indigenous people to whose land we currently occupy on the continent. And although we are all in different places, so if you just take a moment at this time to acknowledge them, you may say their name. For example, for me, I am in the land of the Atfolari tribes, who are part of the Kalapua tribes here in Grand Ronde, and our halau and the work that we do honor that community. And so it's just a constant reminder for all of us as we do the work that we do to also take the time to acknowledge that we are on other Indigenous lands, and we want to acknowledge them and mahalo them for allowing us to be here and to be able to practice the work that we do. So just take that time, and if you are in spaces where you don't know who your what tribal lands you occupy, please take the time to visit native-land.ca, and that we have information on the tribes and how you can connect with them via that website. So just wanting to put us in that place. So mahalo again for all of you for being with us. And my hope is that you always take that time to recognize our Indigenous people and the work that we do. So I would like to continue on, and I'm just gonna say before we move on, I have an audience in my house, and she gets excited sometimes. So if there's barking noises, it's not me, it's Arliko, who will be sharing her mana'o as well. So with that being said, I'd like to begin and go ahead and offer our introductions of our amazing panel this evening. I'm going to start with Dr. Kawehi Ao, is a Native Hawaiian and Maori descent and received her MD at the University of Utah School of Medicine in 2008. She completed a combined residency in both internal medicine and pediatrics in 2012 and is board certified in both. She formerly practiced as a hospitalist and oversaw the education of medical students and residents in pediatrics, and now works as an outpatient clinician. She specializes in both internal medicine and pediatrics. Aloha, kum kawehi au. You might have to unmute or just wave so everybody. Yeah.
Sorry, I told myself I wasn't going to do that, and I started out that way. But yeah, thank you. Aloha. Thank you for the introduction.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Our next panel, I'd like to introduce Dr. Namea Aloha Sells, was born and raised in Cedar City, Utah. After school, she went back to her roots and attended Brigham Young University, Hawaii, where she double majored in exercise and sports science and Hawaiian studies. She attended University of Utah School of Medicine and pursued her family medicine and trained at Utah Valley Family Medicine Residency Program. Whew. She returned to Hawaii and practiced at several rural community health centers and clinics and enjoyed serving the underrepresented and underserved. She is currently teaching at Norda, excuse me if I said that wrong, college. Is that correct? Is that the college?
Correct. Yep.
And enjoys working with students and helping train the next generation of physicians. Her priority is spending time with and caring for her 4 children ranging in ages from 17 to 4 years old and a dog. She enjoys running, dancing hula, cooking, piano, paddleboarding, and going to the beach with her kids. Aloha, Dr. Sells.
Aloha.
Our next panelist is Dr. Malik Fuiamaono, is currently the medical director of the hospitalist program and core faculty with the internal medicine residency program at Skagit Valley Hospital. He is also an adjunct clinical professor with Pacific Northwest Medical School and specializes in internal medicine. I hope I got all that correct, Dr. Fuiamaono.
Yeah, great job, though. Aloha, everybody. Thank you.
Mahalo. We are excited to have Dr. Fuiamaono, Dr. Ao, and Dr. Sells with us tonight to share their mana'o or ike or knowledge on important health topics impacting our people. Please hold your questions until the Q&A time towards the end of the webinar. Just side note, you can put it in the chat, and I think we have Nicole them are going to be monitoring the chat. And for our panelists, if you folks feel like you want to chat and answer the question in the chat, feel free to do that. But we can also we'll bring it up towards the end. So my hopo, no worries. We're just gonna bring this through. And I read your folks' bio many times to practice tonight, because I was like, I don't know, these doctors, they're powerhouse people over here. So I hope I did you guys justice, because I'm nervous just being on this Zoom with you guys. So, and I've heard some of you talk before, so I'm super excited as well. But so mahalo again for taking the time out of your folks' day. We totally understand the importance of our healthcare workers, and you folks are definitely important, especially with your Pacific Islander background, to give many of our Pacific Islander people a perspective with people as they see themselves. So mahalo to you folks for being here again. So we're going to jump into questions, if that's okay with everybody. Perfect. All right. As I switch over page, okay. Almost half of all adult Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders have high blood pressure or hypertension, and about 1/3 have diabetes. In traditional Pacific Island cultures, our people were fit and strong, and they fished, farmed, hunted, and protected their communities. Traditional diets consisted of fish, banana, taro, yams, breadfruit, and shellfish. These are foods that are not high in sugar, fat, and salt. So just based on this information, what factors play a role in the current health of our Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander people? And anyone want to raise? Would you like me to call? If we can start with Dr. Ao, or whoever would like to go first.
We can take turns.
I've
been in like meetings and talks and stuff where this was discussed before, but I actually looked up some statistics on the CDC's website for Indigenous people, specifically Pacific Islanders, and the factors that come to play with not being able to access healthcare is, well, insurance access. 25% are not insured compared to like 17% of whites. 20% reported it was difficult to understand, so it's language access. And then other links are work strain, social status, and emotional stress, income, education level, occupational status on the individual and community level, as well as like availability of healthy foods. You guys can add on.
So Dr. Ao, I think, covered a lot of the big ones. And when I first heard this question, my thoughts kind of went back to, I think, kind of underlying all of the all of the statistics that are out there for our Native people is that if you look back through the history of the Hawaiian Islands and the colonization, there was a loss of land, our culture, and our language. And ultimately, I feel like that has led us to kind of this loss of our self-identity. And so all these years of that loss has kind of contributed to the factors that we see today, because we weren't active people, but we've created a different lifestyle and a very different economy that our people were not used to. And so now we have problems with access to foods, where before we farmed and we fished and we grew our own food, and now we go to a convenience store. And I was in Hawaii, and it was cheaper to buy a can of Spam than it was to go buy kalo, or the foods that we used to eat were so pricey. And it was easier. People have to work so hard just to make ends meet. And when you look at statistics, is that there are more Hawaiians that live at the poverty level in comparison to non-Hispanic whites. And then Dr. Au kind of mentioned this, but education. For Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders, we have lower levels of high school diplomas, bachelor degrees, and especially those with graduate and professional degrees. And so that kind of creates this inequity and kind of sets up this system for our people.
Yeah, I just want to add though, I mean, if you guys have family photos and you can look back at what your grandpa or your great grandpa or grandma looks like though, we were healthy back in the days though, right? Again, at that time, people were farming. You don't need to call a phone and then their food shows up though in a few minutes. Back then, though, you have to work the farm and actually work to get your food though, right? So you're actually burning a lot of calories trying to get your food, and then you consume your food and your body absorbs it for energy. I mean, we've been living this lifestyle for thousands of years though. And you know, there's studies that show our genome, our genes hasn't changed though. What has changed is that nowadays though is the Western diet, right? It's unhealthy. I mean, all of us are getting food just for convenience. And like Dr. Sales is saying though, it's cheaper to buy the unhealthy stuff than actually going to get the healthy food. So I would say it's what we call in medicine multifactorial, right? There's a lot of causes though. And again, you know, I want to go back to what the other doctors have said, though. There's a lot of inequity, right? Depending on where you live, depending on where you're from, though, you don't have the same access as other races to medicine, to doctors. You know, I think like it's rare to see doctors who look like you and talk your language throughout the different states though. I mean, even in Hawaii, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other doctors who are taking care of patients who are not native. So again, you know, looking at things though, I think it's a lot of things though, but I feel like, you know, I'm not saying though that there's no hope though. I feel like education is the most important thing, is for our people to kind of change their mindset about food though, and what they need to kind of get themselves healthy though. I mean, a lot of us are using medicine to treat diseases right now, but look back 200, 300 years ago, there was no medicine, right? Our native people were relying on trees, native plants though, to kind of take care of their health. So I feel like we need to kind of embrace where we come from by going back to some sort of resemblance of what we were before, meaning though that we need to kind of be more active than what we are right now. So yeah, I'm happy to discuss more of this, but that's a really nice question though, and hopefully a lot of people are listening to the answers that are given. So
Yeah, there's statistic I found that the overweight percentage of Samoan women is 46% in Western Samoa, but in Hawaii, Samoan women, 80% of them are overweight or obese. So it goes along with like the native lifestyle, the traditional lifestyle. I also went to Fiji on a like humanitarian medical mission several years back, about 5 years ago, with 2 other doctors, and we were going to study diabetes and heart disease there. And we hardly found anyone with diabetes on the island we were on, because so this island had no roads, no cars. Everybody fished and crabbed for their own food, and played rugby and volleyball every day as a village. And there were like only 2 people with diabetes on the whole island.
Yeah, can you tell me the island though? I want to move there though.
Yeah, Batiki.
It's I have to really convince people that I'm Samoan though. They look at me and they're like, "Are you sure?" To me though, I don't look at it as a compliment though. I feel like what do you think Samoa should look like, right? So they're expecting a 6'4", maybe 300-pound person, and that's really where the issue is though, right? We really need to kind of look at our society and say, hey, the look that people stereotype us is not a healthy look though. And for me though, I have to kind of really put that into heart. Those like, why are they saying I'm not Samoan? It's because I'm not that big though. And I really feel like that's where the issue is. Like a lot of us need to really look at where we are and find ways, like you said, though, let's go back, let's play volleyball, let's play rugby all day. I feel like that's what we were meant for, though. But that's why I'm like involved in this program, just to make sure that people here, those doctors who look like them, actually answers their questions. In that way, they could get on that healthy journey to kind of get them back to where they should be, though.
And I think the other factor that Dr. Au kind of alluded to is they have that community feel. And with colonization and westernization, we've kind of separated out, but our people work together as a community. That's how they survived. They depended on each other. They all work together, they farm together, they fish together. And that kind of creates that family unit. And there's a lot of health benefits that actually come with that.
Mahalo nui for your folks' insight. Definitely took a lot of that in, and it's a great segue into our next question, but I'm gonna kind of alter it a little bit. And just taking from what you folks, talking about access and just that loss of self-identity and all of that really factored into our land, right? Like when we talked about like what Dr. Au was saying was like where we live, right? Where we come from, what our people used to be. And unfortunately, like for me from Hawaii, I'm living here now on the continent in Oregon. And one of those things, it's that access part, right? How do we stay traditional to our food? How do we stay traditional to our cultural practices? So, a question that is here for you folks is how does our NHPI living here on the continent stay connected to the traditional healthy foods or to the traditional ways of how our kupuna, how our ancestors, their way of life? How do we bring that to our people here? And
Okay. I think maybe finding that community. We have a hui, like we paddle on the Great Salt Lake. Well, we haven't for the past while because of the drought and the water's not high enough. But we every Saturday throughout the whole summer would paddle together and eat together. And we did have traditional foods very frequently, at least every Saturday there'd be something. We'd have poke, we'd have he'e, luau, like something that we all enjoy that's from the islands. And so my dad lives with me and he's, Nemea knows, he's an amazing cook. And we always like to make traditional foods as well. But I think it's an intentional thing, like passing that down, making sure we make a point to say like, okay, at least once a month, we have to have poke. And he actually has he has an account at the fish market that we get like wholesale fish for like $5.99 for like a pound for ahi. Like it's, and I actually saw a fish market I used to go to like back their van into there. I'm like, oh, see, this is where everybody gets their fish. But I also have, our street is full of Polynesians. So there's 2 different Tahitian houses on this street. Tongans live right next to the Tahitians. 2 houses down, there's a Samoan and Hawaiian family. And then our family has Hawaiian, Maori, Tongan, and my husband is Fijian. So we actually have every Pacific Island culture represented on our street alone. And we do eat together a lot. Okay,
I'll vouch for her dad. He is an excellent cook and his poke is the best. So
I have diabetes, so we're working on. It's important for him to have those kinds of foods. Anyway.
But my thoughts are kind of very similar to Dr. Au, is creating that network and that community of Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. When we came back from Hawaii, all my kids have Hawaiian names, and we live in a predominantly a white neighborhood. They were going to a predominantly white school. And when we got here, they had troubles with kids saying their name, kids making fun of their names. And I realized very early on that we needed to find people who were like them, that could relate to them and relate to some of the struggles that they had. And when they do that, they kind of can help strengthen each other and build each other up so that they can be proud of their name, proud of where they come from, and kind of create awareness of, this is who I am, and I'm proud of who I am. And it's a work in progress. They have good days and bad days, but it really is a networking out and finding, hey, where can I get the best ahi to make my poke? And I mean, everybody has some connection somewhere. And so that's building that network to help support each other.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the network, the ohana, the family you hang out with. You know, there's a saying in Samoan though that you know you're Samoan by the way you walk, the way you talk, and the way you conduct yourself. Saying that though, it means that you don't have to be in the island to know what the culture is though. You can take that with you though, right? I was raised in the island. I try to raise my kids in the same moral values, but in terms of in terms of health though, right? I would probably say though that, you know, one of the important things other than diet is activities, right? Movements though. So there's a lot of LDS churches around the area where I live. They do a lot of volleyball or basketball. So getting involved in church activities as well. See what's going on though. There's always some sort of game going on. Join a club though, right? If you're, I think the big sport right now in Washington is pickleball, right? It's not as intense as soccer, but it looks like a fun game though. I mean, I don't know if I'm old enough to play it, but you know, I still feel like I'm young though, even though I'm in my 40s. I played a lot of rugby until like a few years ago, where I feel like I can't run with the younger guys though. But again, it's constantly finding ways to be active, right? You know, when you watch Netflix and you have that warning, are you still watching? Get off, stand up and go outside though. You're watching way too much TV at that point. But you know, I think the message is not only diet, but I like to use the word being active rather than exercise, because a lot of time when I say exercise to a patient, they have in their mind, oh, I need to go join a gym and lift weights or on the treadmill for like 2 hours. No, I mean, movement is you can walk around the block though, and then you burn some calories through that. Even walking, right? I feel like a lot of people know about the 10,000 steps, which is equivalent to 5 miles. That's a good start. If you can't do 10 miles, go start with 5,000 steps and then move your way up though. I feel like as long as you have 24 hours in the day though, if you could commit like 1 hour of the day to sort of movement or activity, you can do dances. You know, we Samoans, we play the native dances. All of us get up and dance to it though, right? So I feel like it's simple things though. You doesn't have to be elaborate things that we do for our health though. But as long as we try to identify all the bad habits, such as watching TVs or Netflix for hours at a time, maybe do more movements, and then maybe you can watch Netflix while walking on a treadmill or something like that, right? So it's kind of like looking at yourself and what you're doing. I'm pretty sure all of us are doing all the bad things, but the change comes by making small changes though, and it will add up. And that creates habit, or like brushing our teeth in the morning. We don't think about that, but we become so used to it that we just do it even when we're half asleep though, right? So let that healthy thing be a habit though, right? Whether it be eating the right thing or going for a walk early in the morning. But I feel like it starts with small changes and then it will add up though. You know, a lot of people think I need to lose 5-10 pounds in 2 days though. I'm sorry though, that's not realistic though. I feel like it's consistency on doing certain things on a daily basis. And that's where people get healthy though. It's a marathon, not a sprint though.
Mahalo. And so, mahalo for sharing all of that information. I think definitely active is something we, as my ohana, that's something we talk about often. And you're right, it's not necessary. When people tell me exercise, I'm like, But when they tell us dance hula, oh, we dance hula for hours, like, and it doesn't even, we do a whole show for 3 hours and it doesn't even cross our mind, but it's just, and that's that cultural connection as well. And so kind of moving on, just because cultural connection and our family and building community is definitely something. But another question we have is, you know, with that being, and I feel like this is a good segment, maybe not, but how does food impact our mental health, especially for NHPI people? You know, to talk about community, but you know, but what do you folks see, you know, when it comes to food and how that impacts our mental health?
So, I mean, the saying is that you are what you eat. Is true, is where is your nutrition coming from? So everything, our bodies function on energy, and we have to have that energy. So what are you putting in? You're not going to go fill up your gas tank with water because it's cheap and gas is like almost $5 a gallon. You need to feed it the right things in order for it to run and to function properly. And our bodies are the same. If you feed it well, you tend to function better. And I've done this with several of my patients is, you know, I love food just as much as the next person. But it's what about the choices that you make most of the time? And so I'll have them say, you know what, take a cheat day, have a cheat day every week. And you can eat whatever you want, whatever you like. That means you can celebrate Christmas and birthdays and baby luau's and weddings, and you can have all of those good food. But then you go back to eating well. And when my patients would get on this, they'd actually stay on it longer. And then they would come back and they'd be like, you know what, doc, when I ate terrible that one day, I felt terrible. I felt tired. I felt slow. I just didn't want to get anything done. But then when I started moving and I went back to trying to make healthy food choices and eating well, I noticed I had more energy and I can do more things. And so food really does play into how well our bodies function and how we think and interact with others.
Yeah, there's studies that talk about inflammation from having like too much sugar in your diet. There are studies that show that if you eat like traditional diets, your risk of depression is 25 to 35% lower. I just would challenge everybody, like I feel like we keep getting into like answering questions that haven't been asked yet, like that are later on down on your list. But if you can just make one change, it doesn't have to be big. I would challenge everybody, like cut out soda if you can. And if you can't do that, maybe decrease your soda consumption by half. Just do something that just take a look and say like, okay, what can I improve on? And, make a goal that's attainable and just start it, and start it with somebody that you can be held accountable to. They did the Hawaiian diet. You guys have probably heard about the Molokai diet, the Pili program, where they had traditional foods, they all exercised and did the program together, similar to what you're going to be doing and in your program. And the results are that people maintain their healthy habits for much longer and maintain any weight loss that they've had when they do it in this way. And so working in a college setting, when I ask people about what they're eating, I don't hear a single vegetable in there almost all day. I even had someone who couldn't remember the last time she drank water because all she drank was Diet Dr. Pepper. So there's definitely ways that all of us can improve. And I never tell anybody to take out everything that is labeled as bad, because, we won't be happy if we don't get to have the things we love, but cut down on that, I think the key is to learn to moderate the things that are not as good of a fuel for our body, and increase the things that are good, just have a vegetable with every meal of your day, and pay attention to how you feel the next day. Pay attention to how you feel and how your body responds, and you're going to like it.
Yeah, it's I totally agree with the other doctors, what they said. And unfortunately, mental health though has a relation to the food though, right? Who has had a breakup with their boyfriend and actually ate ice cream and cookies to make them feel better, right? That is the diet that we are seeing though, because on TV though, you always see a guy eating McDonald's smiling, right? So you're always like, wow, you're really happy though when you're eating this stuff. So I think media has a lot to do with how our relationship with food is. I think a lot of us see our friends they go through depression and they're using food to make them feel better. Yes, it does. When you eat food that are sweet, tastes good though, it increases the dopamine. The dopamine is a neurotransmitter in our brain that makes us feel good, right? The problem with that is that the more you eat this food though, the more you feel bad about yourself because you know what you're eating is. So you get more depressed. And what happens is you eat more of it and then you gain weight and then you look at the mirror, it's like, oh my gosh, I look big though. And then you feel more depressed though, right? So it's a vicious cycle though. But if you eat the right food though, I mean, what happens is you actually feel better about yourself. There's a neurotransmitter called serotonin though, and then a lot of people eat healthy food though have an increased rate of serotonin in their brain and they feel good. But then when they look at the mirror, they actually look like what they're seeing though. So kind of like the same way where if we eat the wrong thing, we go down this track here. If we eat all the right thing though, then a lot of people, like Dr. Ao was saying, though, a lot of people who eat healthy don't have a lot of depression though. They feel good about themselves. They feel good about their choices. So a lot of them, they don't feel depressed though. So again, you know, food is one of those things where a lot of people gravitate to when to deal with emotions though, right? Like all the fast food though, you feel good when you eat McDonald's or you feel good eating ice cream. So a lot of people continue to crave that. But when the real problem is depression though, you actually need to go see a doctor to see if there's some medications or any like therapy to help with your emotion rather than you using food as a way of dealing with your mental health. I know with COVID though, a lot of people are at home and they feel depressed, they feel isolated. Guess what though? They're right next to their kitchen and they're eating all this junk food though. I don't know about your kids, but a few of my kids though gain a lot of balance though when they're resuming at home though. So again, our kids, and you know, Dr. Ao could testify as a pediatrician, a lot of our kids are gaining weight as well. And a lot of them are having problems at school with peer pressure, with people making fun of what they look like. So again, it's a vicious cycle though. But then for us though, if we make those right decisions though, those small decisions every day that we're going to be healthy and eat the right thing, I think it's going to grow though. And then the other thing too though is the people you hang out with though, right? If you hang out with a friend who's always going out to eat though, unfortunately you're going to be doing what he's doing though. So and maybe going to the gym, people who like exercising, go hang around those people though. You're going to develop their habits and they're going to share what their journey is, and that kind of motivates you to be healthy yourself. So again, food is really something that is the Achilles tendon of all Polynesians. We love our food though, and you know, even though we're full though, we keep eating though because it makes us feel good though. But again, it's creating all this problem that we're talking about. So
Mahalo, mahalo. Just giving space just in case anybody had anything else to say. Mahalo for that. Definitely, I keep listening to this, listening to what you folks are saying, and I'm like, man, this is going to be amazing for the HHAPI, especially for all the new cohorts and everybody coming into listening to it and building community, and just kind of giving you guys insight about all of this. You know, it makes me happy to see like there are these, if we make these small changes, the things that we can celebrate. And so just kind of, and there's some other questions like Dr. Ao was saying, yeah, we already hit on it. So I'm just gonna keep moving forward a little bit. But if you can talk about what areas that you've seen that we can celebrate, like, you know, do you see areas where our health outcomes or statistics are starting to improve, you know, after like just things that we can celebrate as the NHPI community?
So we have Office of Health Disparities in Utah that kind of follows these things really closely. So I was looking on what we have as far as like what something that is a health disparity but has actually decreased since the last time they measured. And so that would be fair or poor health, mammograms, being overweight or obese, births to adolescence, and tuberculosis. So those are the things that have decreased here in Utah specifically. I can't speak for like the wider population because I couldn't find any statistics.
Well, and I mean, when you look at statistics, it's, I mean, the nice thing now is that they're starting to break out Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. Before we all got lumped in with the Asians. And so all of these things are like, oh no, they're fine because we were offset. And so Over the last few years, we've actually started to separate that out and specifically look at Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. And unfortunately, when you look at our statistics compared to non-Hispanic whites, we still are not doing so well. But I think as we've done that, we've created awareness, and you have to start somewhere. And then with awareness, then you can start to create a plan and get programs and funding and get these things, which is great. And I love this program because it is out there to educate and to help our people and to say, here's our statistics, but what can we do about it, and how can we move forward, and how can we get our people back to kind of our Native people and get our people healthy again. And so that's where I think I see the most progress is all of these programs that are starting. Because I did most of my practicing in Hawaii, and there's a lot of programs in Hawaii that they've started, Native Hawaiian health systems, and most of the islands have a Native Hawaiian health system there to really advocate for the people and really promote health in the Native Hawaiians. And we've started a lot of programs about getting people moving as a community and doing culturally appropriate activities so that people are they feel more tied to it and they want to show up. I run, but not 99.9% of the population thinks that that's punishment or torture. And so it's finding and getting these communities involved, creating safe places to exercise, creating access to food. There was a lot of programs that they started within the elementary schools, farm to table, bringing fresh fruits and vegetables into these homes, especially these homes that are at or below poverty level. And so I think we can celebrate some of those, but then also recognize we have a lot of work to still do.
Yeah, and the PIWI program shows that if you do like culturally appropriate activities, you're more likely to want to continue to do that and to continue that healthy habit. So, you know, if you live by a body of water, which almost everybody can find one, you know, get out your paddleboard and go paddle, go swim. Even if, you know, like swimming is great for someone who's just starting out with exercise because it's not weight bearing. It's not going to hurt your joints as much. There's a Samoan lady that teaches aqua Zumba at the rec center by us. And I love going to that class because, you know, if you mess up, nobody can see because you're under the water and you're in the water the whole time. And it just feels good. We used to stay up late on Friday nights and I'd just be so like slow on Saturday, but now we go to aqua Zumba on Saturday mornings when I don't have soccer with my little girls. And man, it's like a great way to start your day. So just find, something. Oh, and we already talked about hula, of course, but just finding something that gets you moving, that you enjoy. And if it's a cultural activity that traditionally would be done, you're even more likely to keep doing it.
I would say though, if you're on your personal health journey, congratulations. I think people should celebrate their own efforts. I know a lot of people are looking at social media and trying to get validation from other people. Knowing Samoans, or I don't know about Hawaiians though, when they see another Samoan getting better, try to pull them down though, right? They say all this negative things though, but with social media, people are easy to kind of hide behind like fake pages and then say bad things about people, the way they look. We need to get that culture out, people though. We're here for each other. If you see somebody losing weight or doing better, compliment them. Say other good things though, that will motivate them in their journey. And in turn though, you feel better about yourself because you're giving them good feedback. The other thing I would say is that a lot of people are in this comparison, right? It's like, oh man, look at her though, she looks so good, I can't be like her. Don't compare yourself though. And I think that's the thing that I always talk to my kids about, because social media, all these fake pages don't make them feel like they're not good enough because they're not what they're seeing in the media though. I would say a healthy competition for yourself is yourself, right? Yesterday, okay, I didn't work out. Okay, how can I better myself? Let me go for a walk today, right? That's a healthy competition though, because you cannot change what other people are doing. You can only change yourself. So I would say though, that's very important for people who are on their journey. Be honest to yourself in what you're doing and look back though, what did I do yesterday and compare today? And then please people, let's support our community, whether you're Hawaiian, whether you're Tongan, we're all brothers and sisters here. And it's really tough out there. And people, look for validation. So I feel like it's important for us to use the right words to encourage people rather than bullying them down. I mean, a lot of us are going through a tough time with the COVID. So I feel like, you know, a positive comment to somebody's social media page, it goes a long way in their journey. And I'm always motivated by seeing people who lost a lot of weight though, right? It really motivates me, you know, I'm like, wow, if they could do it though, anybody could do it. So I think for us, our community, we need to kind of get that word out though. You shouldn't be negative. Let's compliment people who are doing good. And then that makes us feel like we're helping our people, right? Words could hurt though. I mean, definitely. So as physicians and as doctors, we talk to people about their journey though, but you know, a lot of them listen to us doctors, but at the end of the day though, it's what their family are saying about them. You know, if I go to Samoa though, my parents have no problem saying, hey, you gained a lot of weight though there, hey buddy, you know, and that's our culture though. We just freely say things like that, but you know, it really hurts though. Why don't we say positive things in that we encourage our ohana and our families to be motivated in their own journey? So I would say that though, I feel like if you're in that journey, celebrate yourself, or let us know though on a HHAPI Facebook page. We'll be happy to come and witness your journey and then give you compliments on what people are doing. I feel like we really need to be supporting each other rather than pulling each other down. So thank you.
And while losing weight does like improve a lot of your health benefits, like don't use that as your primary and only goal, because most of us, it took a long time for us to get to this weight. It's going to take a long time to get back to like your original health or, you know, a better health. Just like you said, compare yourself to yesterday. Am I doing better? Do I feel stronger? Am I able to walk further than yesterday? Like, you know, things like that. And using that growth mindset that if, you know, you failed today, like, don't just like fall apart and just quit altogether. Get back up and get going again tomorrow.
By the way, though, our BMI is higher, so don't use the scale they have at a local gym or something. We Polynesian have thicker bones though, so even if you're losing a lot of weight though, your weight might still be higher than somebody who's not Polynesian. Also, something to think about.
And I just want to add, I mean, we need to be positive for our brothers and sisters that are out there, but also when you start your journey, it's hard. Especially when you have to kind of shift the whole mindset. And so surround yourself initially with positive people who are going to encourage you and who are going to help build you up, because that will keep you on that journey. And then look at the little progress that you have. And one thing I always tell my patients is sometimes we get so fixated on a scale and that number on the scale. And sometimes we look at that scale and that number is not changing as much as we want, or it's not going down as fast as we want it to. And a lot of my patients would kind of fall off track because they would just get frustrated. But I talked to them about, you know, don't be so fixated on that number, but think about how you feel. How do you feel? And sometimes there's a point when you start gaining muscle and that weighs more than fat. And so that those numbers on the scale don't mean as much. But I always ask my patients, how are your clothes fitting? And they're like, oh, I actually have to go buy new clothes because they fit better. Muscle mass takes up less space, but it weighs more. And so use different indicators to kind of help instead of getting fixated on one thing.
Awesome. Mahalo nui loa. You guys kind of went into the whole other section. And so I just, you know, for everybody listening, just, you know, it's really what we're hearing from all our doctors, eating healthy and being physically active, not only just helps our body, but I think if I'm understanding mentally, as well as it kind of allows us to also build a community. I loved what you folks are saying about having people surround ourselves with good people, surround ourselves. And I love that we need to celebrate all of our wins. Yeah, not necessarily waiting for statistics to come out to celebrate the wins. Like we all can do that. And definitely some just kind of, I think I'm looking at Marla to see, I think I got to start. Yep, getting into our closing, but just pointing all of that out and just mahalo. And the other thing that I really appreciated was what Dr. Fuiamaono was saying about like lifting everybody up, being uplifting, right? Like that's something that our communities, especially with community-based organizations, we see that so often, that it's almost as if everybody going to be in a competition with each other, when the reality is that we don't have to be. If we can all support each other and be uplifting, like how much further we can really be. And like there's a saying in Hawaii, like if all of our sales were to go up, our va'as will travel and we can travel together. So definitely mahalo and to you folks. And here in Oregon, I wish we were fortunate enough to have more Pacific Islander doctors, and we don't have as many. And so sometimes our people have to lean on to other resources. Like the internet has become a popular resource to kind of learn about health and investigate our own health conditions. However, given the large amount of inaccurate information online, people can easily become misinformed, like all of you folks are saying, right? Like even with social media. And so for those of us who may not have the ability to be in spaces where we have Pacific Islander doctors, are there any credible online health resources that maybe you folks could recommend that might help our community?
Yeah, I think Mayo Clinic has a lot of patient resources that are accurate. So I would trust pretty much anything that those guys write. And WebMD, but I'm not sure if you have to pay for that, but it's pretty accurate as well. You can always just ask your own doctor, because we have patient resources available that we can give to you that are accurate as well.
Yeah, I would say to ask your primary care doctor, because they know. Because the problem with looking at things online, though, is that each of us is different, right? So the internet might say do this, though, but it's actually the worst thing you can do because you have a certain disease or on certain medications, though, right? So your primary care doctor knows you very well. They know what medication you're on. So make sure you utilize them. And by the way, though, by law, they're supposed to have a translator service for you, though, if you're having trouble with the English language. I know a lot of Samoans have issues with that. And I remind them that in America, your doctor is supposed to provide some sort of translation or people to kind of translate things for you, though. So don't make sure that you utilize that. A lot of us, our people are scared to ask questions. They're like, well, the doctor might think I'm stupid or something. Please don't do that. It's very important for your doctors to understand what you understand and what you don't understand. A lot of us will make sure that our patients are educated well on the medications that they're on and what they're going through, though. So make sure you ask them for a translator or things like that. And I feel like, yeah, there are other resources, but be very careful, though. I feel like, trusted sites like Mayo Clinic and WebMD. So make sure you check your resources, though. And like I said, though, I think the best person for information is your doctor, or you can share your questions here at HHAPI, and then we'll be happy to kind of answer some of your questions if you have any. So.
Yeah, and I think, and it was mentioned, social media is great, and it has a lot of great things, and it can create a great social support and network. But there's also some harm in it. And I think just going through COVID, we saw a lot of the harm that social media can do, because it can get information, correct or incorrect, out there very quickly. And so be very careful. And I think one question to ask yourself all the time is, who's writing it? And what is their purpose for writing it? And the big question always asked is, you'll come across all different kinds of sites, is, does it have a claim that's too good to be true? If it says you're going to lose 10 pounds in the next month, is it too good to be true? Just to kind of help you weed through so much information. We live in a time where we're inundated with information. And then it becomes a task of trying to figure out what is credible and what is not. And like was said before, go to credible sources and ask them. If you come across something that you're not quite sure, find somebody that knows and ask them. And then they'll be more than happy to help get you to good information.
Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. Kind of trying to wrap it up, just, because of our who we are and the program that we're a part of. We wanted to ask you folks, why are cultural-based health studies important? And also, like, why is it important for our people to participate in this program, in the HHAPI program, if they do qualify?
I think you have to look at, what's your why? What's your reason for living? And how can I have a stronger, healthier lifestyle? Most of us is going to be our family. And so you create a stronger, healthier you create a stronger, healthier family. We are the ones who teach our children how to have a healthy lifestyle. I watched my grandma struggle with diabetes for 40 years. She exercised every single day until the end when she had to have both of her legs amputated. But she did her very best, and I was so proud. And she taught all of us. She always made sure we all had exercise. Like we always had a basketball hoop. We had the the trampoline out the back. Like we always had stuff to play with because she wanted us to be active in it. And she really inspired me. And I'm going to do my best not to get diabetes. Oh, but your question though, I'm like, okay, just to have a healthier, stronger community. Like when we recognize those disparities, we come up with programs like how you guys have to help improve those.
I feel like as a physician, though, especially hypertension, though, I'm pretty sure the doctors know this, though, African American, they can't use a medication called ACE inhibitors. And the reason why they found out about this is based on studies, though. Mm-hmm. So, personally, the reason why I want to see data from our people is in making sure that the medications we are giving our people are working, right? So if there's more studies with our people being in that studies, it gives us doctors a lot of new information on what's working and what doesn't work. I know there's medications that only certain works for certain races, though. So like for Asians, though, something doesn't work for them. You have to use this instead of this, though. Right. So that kind of information as a doctor, and hopefully I could see more Pacific Islanders patients, though, is to kind of get that information to help us make sure that what the studies are saying, it correlates to our people. Because if you look at the studies that we base all our medications and everything on, a lot of those people are Caucasians, though, right? So you got to look at who are the people in the studies, and what can I elaborate from the results, though. Unfortunately, that if you look, though, there's not a lot of studies with us in it. So as a doctor who's practicing medicine, I want to be making sure that I'm not causing any harm giving medications to a Polynesian. I want to make sure that the medications I'm giving is backed up by studies, and making sure that there's really does work, and there's no harm by doing that. So again, I advocate for studies like HHAPI, because we are looking at our own people and see how their medications are working for them, what is working for them, what is not working for them. And the other thing too, though, is like, I'm kind of curious, though, because recently, or a few years ago, they did a study in African American. What they did was they went to a barber shop and they measured their blood pressure. And the funniest thing that came out of this study is that a lot of those people who go to the barber shop, their blood pressure is really good, though. And the study came out and said, why is that, though? So, I mean, you look at it, though, that's where like a lot of men go and hang out. They feel relaxed, they get their haircuts, but they feel better, right? So I'm kind of curious, though, where maybe we could bring a study like that and say, like, okay, let's study blood pressure in our people going to native places where they hang out, though, or maybe they go and do the hula, or maybe they go and do crafting and do the blood pressure. Maybe there's something there, though, right? So I'm kind of interested in if we more studies with people, Pacific Islander people, it would bring more information that would be helpful for us doctors to kind of help our people. So I'm all for funding studies for specific for Pacific Islander people, just to help us know what our body is and what we react to. There's a lot of new medications out there, so I'm kind of curious what works for us and what doesn't work for us.
100% correct. Physical activity and diet, #1 prescription for everybody. Like you should, I've heard people say like, oh, my doctor never told me about that. Well, it's your #1 thing that you need to do to take care of yourself, is have a good diet and exercise. Okay, go ahead. Were you going to say something to me?
Well, I just want to say it also kind of, we have different genetics, and we need to know what works for us, and studies will help our communities become better. But then it also creates its own community. And so when we bring our people into these studies and studies like this, where we talk about foods and getting people moving, you kind of build in another network of support in your own health journey, a group of people that you can reach out to. And when you come across something that you have a question at, and you're part of studies, you say, oh, hey, you know, what about this? And then we work together.
Mahalo nui loa for you folks, Ike, your guys' time, your mana'o, and sharing with us. It definitely, you know, a lot of the work that we all do is to make sure that we uplift our community. And one thing that we know that can keep our culture going is our health, right? Like health and culture go hand in hand. And so definitely mahalo for your folks mana'o. I just want to open up the floor. I don't know, Nicole, if we had some questions from our listeners, anybody, or if anybody would have some questions, you're welcome to put it on the chat, or you can turn on your video.
And also really quickly, sorry to I didn't interrupt, but Nicole or Leigh, did you have the slide or the new flyer with?
Mm-hmm. Would you like me to share the flyer now?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can. So I'm just gonna, I'll lean over, and here's the and we're gonna share this flyer with all of you folks before you go. Sorry, can you guys see that good? You know, just to share with everybody about the program. We can also, if you would like more information, we can email this information to you. You're welcome to drop your email in the chat if this is something that you're just hearing about for the first time. We also wanted to share with you folks that this program also provides, we have $200 in grocery, correct, Marla, if I'm, in grocery gift cards, just to support the program and support your journey through the program. And so we also have that. And as you can,
I'm just gonna pop in really quick. The biggest change that we're really excited about is now we are including those that have been diagnosed, or a medical professional has said you do have pre-diabetes levels. So that's kind of a newer eligibility that has just happened recently. So we wanted to share that with everyone.
And that means that we are able to take on more people, right?
Yes.
Because of that, yes. So we get to share that, which is awesome. Again, reaching out to our people. So again, if you
we'll probably have to stop recruitment by the end of this year. So if you want to participate or know anybody that wants to, have them join now or before the end of the year.
I think one of the beautiful things that I love about this study is that, you know, when I first started learning about it, is that it was created by Pacific Islanders. You know, a lot of the surveys that, you know, we get to participate in are often created by other people. And so one of the things about this particular study is that it was created by Pacific Islanders for Pacific Islanders. And like Dr. Fuiamaono was saying, is that this information helps these doctors, our doctors, to better support our community. So please definitely reach out to the HHAPI team. We have our website right there, iamhappy.org, for more information. And so I will take this down just to kind of close up and see if we have any questions or any last words.
Selena raised her hand. If we can go to Selena really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much for such a really beautiful, enlightening talk story. For me, working here in Phoenix and seeing some of the care that our Native American people are getting, it makes me know also that it's the same kind of care that some of our people in the islands are getting also. We don't see, like you're saying, people that look like us, sound like us, know our culture, our traditions. So my question was, do you offer virtual consultations, or are you seeing people through Zoom? I know that my doctor's office does do that. And so I'm just wondering if you doctors offer that to our people. Let's say they're not in the islands, or they're not, you know, in the Pacific Northwest where you're practicing. Is that available? And how can people get in touch with you to do that? I think when people feel good about their care, I think that they'll take better care of themselves as well. Just the way that you're talking and caring in this conversation makes a big difference in overall care for our participants and clients as well.
Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of capability right now. I think I could say with all the doctors, so we work for different hospital systems, and unless you're a patient within a hospital system where we have access to your record and things like that, I feel like it's very difficult for us to do that. But what I would suggest a solution is we come in every couple of months to try to answer any questions anybody would have. But as it stands right now, I feel like it's very difficult for us because we work for different hospital systems, and but it's something that we could probably work on, see if we could find some way of us connecting us to the community. So, but right now, it's sad to say though, I don't have that capability right now. So
We are working on helping more Pacific Islanders get into medicine, especially Nemea right now, being a professor as she is. So more coming soon. We've got a couple graduating from the University of Utah pretty soon too. So
hopefully we've got 2 Pacific Islanders that we just accepted into our first class. So, and that's what it is it's encouraging our people to go into healthcare so that there are more providers, because it gets a little tricky with the telehealth, because there's private health information and there's a lot of little hoops and things that have to be jumped through even in order to do a telehealth visit. But it really is like creating opportunities like this where we can come together and we can maybe help answer some of those questions and then support our people in that way.
yeah, it's hard. I think it's hard to do telehealth too. You can't listen to the heart, you can't listen to the lungs, you can't, even a rash, like you have to be able to feel it. Like it's just, it's kind of hard to do telehealth, but like basic health questions we can definitely answer. So anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's all do we have anybody, did anybody else have anything else to share?
I do. I recently heard in a lesson, like someone had read a book about how to create healthy habits. And she talked about like stacking habits. And then when you stack a habit onto something you're already really good at, kind of like how he talked about with like brushing your teeth, you can help create like a lasting habit. So like what she did, she said like she works for a school district and she's vegan, and there's nowhere around that can give her the kind of food that she normally would eat that is healthy. And so she needs to pack her own food. And so how does she do that? She's like, well, I'm really good at eating dinner every night. I do it every single day. So she packs her lunch for the next day at dinner. So we actually started doing that as well. And it really helps to like not be eating like bad things during the day that you can really easily find because you've already like created like the snacks in your lunch for the next day. So I just wanted to share, like, if you're looking for a way to create a healthy habit, just add it on to something you're already doing. If you talk to your friend every day, walk while you talk to them, just something like that. Okay, that's it.
I love that. Stack a habit. Gonna add that to our flyer, stack a habit. That's gonna be one of our Olelo Hawaii words of the week, stack a habit.
about shaka habit. Shaka.
Well, mahalo nui loa to all of you, Dr. Al, Dr. Sel, Dr. Fuiamaono, for being here this evening, just taking the time out of your day. We know that you folks are all busy. And yes, I agree with you, Dr. Sels, we need to get more Pacific Islanders in our healthcare. That's how we're going to be able to reach all of our people. And we need more programs like HHAPI so that we can get that information to our health providers to better serve our community. So mahalo nui loa for being here this evening. Again, if you need more information please definitely reach out, IamHappy.org. We hope to have our wonderful panelists here again. It sounded like maybe every few months. I don't know. I know they're busy, but we can throw that out there in the universe and manifest that mana'o, that maybe we can check in with them so that the next time they come back, all of us better have a stack of habit that we can share with them that we've added to our lifestyle. So again, mahalo nui loa for all of you folks for being here today. You folks have a wonderful evening, and we will definitely be seeing you folks again soon. So aloha and ahui ho.
Mahalo. Mahalo, Lei.
Hi,
Hi,
Auntie.
Nicole.
Hi.
Eloy.
I see you.
See you. This was awesome. Mahalo, everybody, for taking the time to do this. Selena's my daughter, but don't hold that against her, please.
Mahalo for joining. I see my parents. This is their first webinar. Dad, mom and dad, hello. Thank you.
Who,
Mahalo for joining tonight.
Marla, who are your parents?
Barry Tamhoy, that's my dad.
Oh, okay, because I'm Niele, because I do mo'okuauhau. Hi, Zoe. That's my G baby.
Lay, you're so awesome. Do you want to come to Arizona and MC one of
Yes.
our events?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
my sister lives in Chandler.
Okay,
She
Chandler.
does? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Who is
Okay.
she? Maybe we know her.
Her name is Kiola. They moved there in 2020, 2021,
Kiola what?
2020.
Kiola what?
Our last name is Kaula. Kaula. Yeah, so I think it's near Phoenix, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
She
like
definitely
15
needs-
minutes away from here.
It's
You
It's all
definitely need to
Phoenix.
find community. I know that much. So I would
Okay.
love, when I heard that you're in Arizona, I was like, oh my gosh, where? Yeah.
Well, we will connect. We're doing a Poke Fest and contest October 15th. So I'll send Nicole, I think I have your contact information. So I'm emceeing that event.
Oh man.
But it would be so awesome if you want to come visit or, connect with your sister though. So I'm emceeing the event, but it's going to be lots of information tables, lots of people, sharing their crafts and their arts and
So
all
my
of that.
sister, she's actually a chef too.
Oh,
I think her partner got transferred for Intel, but she was supposed to work at Arizona State University.
Okay.
And then COVID happened, so never happened. But yeah, but she makes really ono food.
We
Well, you
always
should
want
tell
to
her
know
to
where the
enter.
food is.
Yeah. We want to know where
Yeah.
the food is, but definitely tell her about the contest, because if she makes poke, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know
definitely,
exactly what the prices are, or the
If you can
prizes
send me-
are.
If you can send me the flyer, I know she's looking for community out there, so
Oh,
I would
yeah.
love for her to connect. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a good night. Thanks so much,
Thank you,
Marla. and
mahalo.
Nicole.
Everybody. Oh, wait, hold on. This one likes say bye.
Hi, Mr. Handsome.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, little cousin.
Hey.
Nicole,
Good
give,
night.
Larry.
Nicole,
Yep.
give my aloha to your mom.
Well,
Bye.
Okay.
okay.
Aloha, everybody. Malamu pono.
Bye.
Mahalo.
Bye, Auntie.